Good morning, student. Today we'll discuss the various types of rights. Already we discuss civil, political, economic, and social rights. Today, one of the most important aspect of right is human rights. We'll start our discussion on human rights. You all know that in newspaper, TV, lot of incidents of human right violation. In Bengal, it is called মানবাধিকার উল্লঙ্ঘন। আমরা বিশ্বের বিভিন্ন প্রান্তে মানবাধিকার উল্লঙ্ঘনের ঘটনা দেখতে পাই। আর প্রথমেই আমাদের যেগুলা অধিকার আছে তার মধ্যে মানবাধিকার যেটি বিশ্বের সর্বক্ষেত্রে সর্বস্থানে প্রযোজ্য, that is called the human rights. First of all, we know that rights are some privileges which are very important part of the citizen's life. A citizen cannot develop himself as a all-rounder of the human being until he possesses some privileges which will help him to develop his inherent qualities. That's why rights are indispensable in the discourse of democracy. Democracy is by the people, for the people, of the people. That's why the citizen is the center of all the political system, and human rights are very important part of political discourse. Human rights, now we know that 10 December 1948, the human rights become a formal charter under the United Nations, and the day 10 December every year we celebrate as a Human Rights Day. But before we go to the deep of the chapter, as a higher secondary first year student, we must know what are human rights. Human rights are intrinsic value that give all human being dignity, as is stated in the very first line of the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, peace in the world. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it is applicable for all, irrespective of caste, creed, age, country. Everybody have the some rights which are universal. This is called human rights. You try to memorize the definition of human rights, which is very essential for understanding the human rights. Now I go for some example. Already we discussed about some rights as a civil rights, political rights, economic rights, social rights. These are also human rights. Human rights is a broad right to life. Already we know what is the meaning of right to life. Right to health, including mental health, reproductive health, sexual health, etc. Right to decide the number and spacing of children. Right to privacy, right to education. You maybe add some more examples. And for your understanding that any rights you can, in a democratic country, you categorize as the human rights. If we discuss about the right to privacy, privacy means you have your own some personal matters can be kept under your own jurisdiction. That is the right to privacy. Right to education, this is a very important. Already we know that the right to education 2005 was passed in India, and compulsory right to education is there. Though right to education is need to be more right to quality education, then will be become the more developed in not only economy, in political system also, then our democracy will be become more stronger in coming days. Next, I will discuss the. This is followed by the first line of the Article 1 of the UDH. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. We nowhere discriminate anyone, as all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Dignity means you give the equal treatment, equal respect to all. You don't no way you undermine anyone on the basis of his caste, creed, or the sex or the religion. That is very important. We all, as a citizen of India, should adhere to this type of principle. Then our country will be more uh, powerful and more mature in regard of the democracy. Uh, Now I go for a that the what are the explanation of the human rights as relate to the human dignity. Human rights are thus basic values that are essential to human dignity. Human rights are legally granted by the human rights law. In India also there is a Human Right Act. In different acts were passed in the UN, which is signed by the Indian government, and which protect individual and group against actions that interferes with the fundamental freedom and human dignity. If somebody violates my rights, then I may be approach under the Human Rights Act to the courts, Supreme Courts, High Courts, the other lower courts. Human rights impose obligation on government. Government is bound to obey the human rights which is granted to the citizens. We all know that the fundamental rights, our fundamental rights is the very human rights of the people. Then I think you understand now the what are the basic concept of the human rights. Then in Vienna, the Vienna Declaration in 1993 of human rights also recognized that women rights are human rights. Women's are the mm, uh, most important part of the society, because we have the 50-50. Then 50% of the population should not be undermined, or their rights to be also recognized. In many societies, many countries, there is a clauses and the social trauma that discriminate the women to enjoy their rights. That's why the human rights recognized that the women rights are human rights. With that, I just conclude today. You will go through your books, then it will be better for you to understand the concept of the human rights. Okay, I think you are clear now. You are clear regarding your concept of rights. And when you go to the book, you take down the list of the human rights. Thank you.